live.
Well, hello, very good evening to you, and welcome back to the locker room. It was a bit weird there because I was speaking to the guys, and we are getting a bit of feedback. Hold on a couple of minutes. Wow, that's a brilliant start to the show. So I was speaking to the guys before we came on the air, and I had to nip out the room for a wee minute or two, and then when I came in, I never knew that was the time. Okay, we're here now. Calm down, Michael. We're here, and that's enough about my personal life now. That's we're here until 7 o'clock, live on the locker room, and we are joined by my partners in crime, Dave and Graham, on the locker room on a Friday night. If you're watching us on Independence Live, you know what to do by now. Leave a comment below on Facebook or YouTube, or you can, if you're listening to us on Indie Live Radio, you don't know what you're missing. Boyzone's not even got a look in. Maybe the Spice Girls, I'm not actually sure. So you can, by the way, Graham told me to say that. You can comment on the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well, and we're here until 7 o'clock. So how's it going, guys? I've got a busy international break.
It certainly has been.
Scotland are top of the group, all that mattered. Now we're back to the bread and butter, is international football. It's sad to leave international football, to be honest with you, Michael. We've done so well, but let's get back to the formalities that is domestic football.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's nice to see the football back this weekend. And it's a bit unusual, Graham, because all the games are taking place tomorrow. There's not a Sunday game. I presume that's for European action during the week. So, yeah, all in all, it was a good week for Scotland. But here we go, back into it again before the World Cup starts in November. Just before we kick off tonight, guys, just to say that Celtic, Rangers and Hearts is in European football. And if by magic, yes, we'll be back on again Tuesday, Wednesday, first and Friday next week. After the games of Celtic, Rangers and Hearts. Talking about Hearts, let's begin with Hearts. Boom, boom, see if I dig that. Brilliant. Tomorrow they face a big game against Rangers at Tynecastle. And I think before we get to the... I think before we speak about your beloved Hearts, Graham, I want to get your take on John Suter because Van Bronckhorst said today at his press conference he won't be back fit until after the World Cup for Rangers. To me, I don't know about you, but to me that's a bit of a blow.
It is. I mean, he had his debut, I think, against Livingston, and then I don't think he really played much after that, and he's been injured ever since, and it's a shame for him. The thing about Suter is he's always been known to be quite injury prone, and it is a shame because he's a top class defender. So it's a massive blow for Rangers that he's missing. I'm glad that he's not playing tomorrow, but it's a huge blow for Rangers that he's going to be missing, especially for these big Champions League games coming up against Liverpool, that double header. So it'll be a huge blow that he's missing, but I think they need to get him fully fit. You know, there's no point rushing him back if he's not fully fit. So it's going to be a huge blow for them. There's no doubt about that.
And and also while we're talking about Rangers, Ben Davies is back in the squad for Rangers. Dave, that's a bit of a lift for Rangers going to Tynecastle. And Kemar Roof is not fully fit yet, but he's back in training.
Yeah, it's two positive views for Rangers. I mean, from Ben Davies' point of view, we all know and acknowledge that Rangers haven't been the same in that full-back or left-back position since Kavabasi departed Rangers for Ajax, and Rangers just haven't been the same in that specific department, especially because Ben Davies, especially because Calvin Bassey offered so much in that specific role. So having Ben Davis back will be a big positive for Rangers. Kemar Roof nearly coming back is another positive because, let's be honest, Rangers have been hitting teams to the solid domestically, but in European terms, they maybe missed somebody like Kemar Roof. So I think in terms of that, I think any time you get players back in your squad is always a huge positive, and this is a positive indeed for Rangers in terms of their pursuit, in terms of everything they're striving to achieve coming out of the season. But as for tomorrow's game, I think not having Suter, just to elaborate on your points there, I think not having George Suter for tomorrow is going to be an advantage to Hearts, because Hearts are in a position now where they have Lawrence Shanklin. They obviously have an in-and-out goal scorer who can go and provide a lot to Hearts, and he's obviously a solid player in that regard. So in terms of Hearts, they've obviously got a lot of quality, and they can go and see that through tomorrow. They've obviously got a big, powerful test coming up. And Robbie Nielsen's mentality has been first class in regards to this, because it's not as though he's came into the game and thinking, right, we're playing out one of the Glasgow teams, we're going to go and get absolutely whitewashed. He's of the mentality that he wants to build on last season and wants to get more points on the board, and he sees Rangers as the perfect opportunity to get some points and challenge them. Now, do I think Hearts will break the mould of Celtic Rangers in the top two? Probably not, but at the same token as well, it's superb mentality and superb words that's speaking out of Robbie Nielsen's mouth this week, because it's a good mouthpiece for the press.
Graham, I just wanted to touch upon the fact that you've got two big, massive games coming up this week, tomorrow and Thursday night, but so have Rangers. Two massive away games beginning tomorrow at Tynecastle. It's always quite difficult to judge the teams after a kind of the international break, because back in the day you had two international games, but now it's like 3 games in a quick succession. So how do you think Rangers will handle it coming to Tynecastle?
I think it's a big game, and I think they'll also come with the fact that for a couple hours at least, they know that if they win tomorrow, they can go top. So it's a massive incentive for Rangers to come to Tynecastle and get 3 points. And they also know that last season they got the better of Hearts quite a bit last season. Hearts only drew 1 game. The rest of them, Hearts got beaten, including the cup final. So Rangers know that they've got the better of Hearts, but I think this Hearts team can cause some problems tomorrow. You know, you're looking at the international break, and you've got Stephen Kingsley and Barry McCow who were in that Scotland squad. You know, Stephen Kingsley got on during the week, so that'll be a massive boost for him. We don't have as many injuries now. Obviously, Rowles is still out. We've still got Beningame and Boyce as big absentees. I think Halkett might still be out, but he'll be back at least for Thursday. So we're getting players back now. So it's going to be a massive, massive test for both teams tomorrow. But this will show me where Hearts are right now. If we can get 3 points in this game tomorrow, that would be huge for me. And I think it would be a big test for Robbie as well. You know, Robbie doesn't have a great record against Celtic Rangers, so that's a chance to put that right tomorrow. You're going to have a packed Tynecastle. The home end sold out. It's a 12:30 kickoff. It's on TV. It's a massive, massive game to come back to an international break. And I think it's a game you want. You know, if you're playing, no disrespect, but if you're playing like St Mirren at home, it's not going to have that same feel to it. But playing Rangers at Tynecastle, the chance that we could go joint second if we win this game, it's a huge game for both teams tomorrow.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm just reading some quotes here from Robbie Nielsen here, so forgive me if I'm. In fact, I'm going to come back to them because I can't do 2 jobs at the one time. You know, typical Manson and all that. But before getting the comments about that. But Dave, it would be interesting to see how Hearts kind of like cope, because we were saying before the international break that because they're playing Sunday, Sunday, it would be interesting to see how they're going to cope with that one, especially tomorrow that they've got the big game against Rangers.
Yeah, but you take it one game at a time. It's the old cliche, Michael, but you take it one game at a time. They've had a break. Hearts have had a break. Yes, they've had players away in international duty. A Craig Golden who's done Very little. He's saved some shots. That's it. He's not done much, has he, Graham?
Nah, not really, not.
There you go. Right, there's one. Secondly, you've had Barry Mackay, who came at the squad fairly late when you look at it. The defensive up was Stephen Kingsley. He came at the squad fairly late alongside Barry Mackay. It's not as though Hearts have been impacted or interrupted as such. And I think that's going to be a big positive in tomorrow's game against Rangers, because they'll have had a recovery. They'll have had a period where they've had to go work on things. They'll have had a period where they've had to go and refresh and go again. And I think Hearts can take a lot of confidence from how things have been approached and so forth in the last few weeks. And it's a sign of a good team where if you can go win tomorrow, it gives you that springboard. Managers speak about springboards and confidence boosters and so forth all the time. If Hearts can go and win tomorrow, the atmosphere will be buzzing for first night's game against Fiorentina. Now, arguably, Hearts haven't started the season as well as they would have won, right? But you've got to take into consideration and knowledge that Hearts have had a lot of games this season in terms of the Premier Sports Cup, friendlies, Europe. They've had league. They've had a lot of games in there. And I think, well, you see it for yourselves, right? When the Queen passed away, sadly, Hearts played RFS and Motherwell. They came out final. Hearts have gone 5 games without a win prior to that. The Queen sadly passed away, and it was a blessing in disguise for Hearts. Don't get me wrong. And 2 fantastic wins. And I think this break will do Hearts the world of good. And it's going to be an intriguing game tomorrow against Rangers.
Graham, I'm reading quotes from Robbie Nielsen today, and obviously we can't really go, okay, it's 11 minutes past 5. We went a bit early tonight and mentioning Craig Gordon's name, right? But apparently the Hearts manager, Robbie Nielsen, was speaking today, and they said that Craig Gordon turned down a well-earned day off. So I would, Hearts fans might give Robbie a lot of stick here, but it seems as though that Robbie was going to give him the day off tomorrow because of his international duties and him becoming a new dad as well. But it just showed you that the type of athlete Craig Gordon is, that he wants to play every week.
I just think he's trying to get a change in nappies. That's probably why he's done it. But no, I mean, listen, Craig Gordon's absolutely brilliant. And I think, I'm 43. I've seen a lot of very, very good Hearts teams. And I'd have to say right now, I think Craig Gordon's probably the best Hearts goalkeeper I think I've ever seen. I've seen some great ones, but I think he's probably the best. And in terms of Scottish football, I don't know if he's the best goalkeeper Scotland's ever had. Probably not, but it's certainly up there. He's just an absolutely phenomenal goalkeeper. And it does show a lot. He could have easily taken a couple of days off, but he's thought, no, I want to be playing in these games. And, it shows the stature of the man. He's just a brilliant guy. He's a fantastic goalkeeper. And it does speak volumes about Craig Gordon. So I'm delighted he's playing tomorrow, because I'd be actually gutted if he wasn't, to be honest.
Now, one of the men that we've actually forgotten about, Dave, just because he hasn't made his debut yet for Hearts, is Robert Snodgrass. But also Robbie said today that he's been doing double and triple training sessions every day. So that means he's actually desperate to make his debut now, because don't forget, he can't play in any European games. So the bread and butter, the league games and the cup games is the only way that Robert Snodgrass is going to get a game for Hearts as well. And don't forget, he's 35 as well, so he's not a young spring chicken.
Can I just clarify? He played against Motherwell, did he not? He didn't start, but he came on, did he not?
He came off the bench, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to clarify that before he sounded completely stupid, Michael. But anyway, in terms of Robert Snodgrass, he's had that taste of first team action for Hearts. I think he's been training long enough from a Hearts point of view to know what they're all about. He'll know the philosophy. He'll know how they'll play. He'll have had internal conversations with Robbie Nielsen about the way Hearts play, about how they conduct their business, about how Hearts get the results. And Robert Snodgrass has got a massive part to play. And I think him having his wee hiatus in the aspect of not a lot of games or not playing as much football could be a good thing, because it asks Rangers a completely different question altogether. It asks Rangers the question in the aspect of they don't know how they're going to go and set up. Obviously, Robert Snodgrass is an influential player. He has been all his career. And it's going to be interesting to see where Robbie goes and plays him. I think, well, Graham touched upon it. Obviously, Hearts have got injuries to Baningamy and Wells, is it, Graham? They've obviously injuries to both them players. And you could see Snodgrass playing in a similar role to like a Wells or a Baningamy. That player that's sitting in the middle of the park, or that player that's playing as an ATM, an attacking midfielder, you can see that in him. And I think, regardless of what position he'll play, he's got a lot of experience in the game, and he can offer so much in a Hearts jersey. So if he makes his home debut tomorrow, it'll be fantastic, and it'll be good for Robert Snodgrass to get his first start in a Hearts jersey. It can only be a successful one if he goes and gets the 3 points tomorrow.
And not only, because I've just remembered, it's not only, Dave, it's a big game tomorrow, but it's a big programme tomorrow as well, because I believe a certain Mr. Duffy has wrote a piece for the Hearts programme. So if you're going along to the game, and if you're a Rangers fan, just buy it anyway, right? Because I must say, it goes well with a pie. So you can have a pie in one hand and a programme in the other hand, and the Hearts win. Well, what else do you ask for, Graham?
I've actually got a question for you, right? Now, this is maybe a bit off topic, but I listened to a Hearts podcast a few days ago, right? And there was obviously fans asking questions, and I was on that show at the time. Now, one of the things that was brought up was, how do Hearts split the old firm? Now, this isn't just based on Hearts as well. You can talk about Aberdeen, you can talk about Hibs, you can talk about Aberdeen. So, I mean, what is it going to take for a team to split the old firm? Now, we know that Rangers and Celtic have got a lot of money, but you look at Leicester all those years ago, they managed to win the title in England because teams had off days, like Man City, Liverpool were really poor. So what's it going to take for somebody in Scotland to split the old firm?
I think it's about having a confidence. I think it's about having a belief. It's about having a mentality. It's about having a desire. It's about having a character. And it's about believing you can go and break the old firm too. Like, I'll go back to an Aberdeen reference in a minute, but we'll focus on Hearts first and foremost. And Hearts have got the credentials. They've got the squad to go and achieve it. At the same time as well, Hearts, in terms of if they do break that mould, will have to go and be consistent against Aberdeen, Dundee United, Hibs, Johnston, all these kind of teams. Not only that, they'll have to go to a Parkhead or an Ibrox. And if you play them average 4 times a season, when I mean 4 times a season, I mean twice at Parkhead, twice at Ibrox, you're probably going to have to get minimum 6 points out of 12 a season, I would say, or 4 points out of 12, and hope work goes your way. So it's about getting work, but at the same time, it's about making sure you're winning all the big battles and winning all the big matches as well. So that plays a massive part in it. Jimmy Calderwood was asked that question, I remember, a long time ago, because obviously he was Aberdeen manager back in 2006. And he was asked the question, can you break the old firm mould? Because Aberdeen were in a good place at that time, because they'd been in Europe, they'd played Bayern Munich, played Copenhagen, played Atletico Madrid. And Jimmy Calderwood was asked the question at a fans forum, and he was asked if he could break it. And they were confident. I think there was a podcast with Russell Anderson, and Jimmy Calderwood supposedly put out a list in the changing room. Right, you're playing such and such this day, you're playing such and such this day, this is what we've got till Christmas, this is what we've got till the split, all that kind of stuff. How many points do you think you'll get? So every player was asked to go do this. And because Rangers and Celtic weren't exactly firing on all cylinders, players were going 1, 3, 1, 3, 3, 1. And the threes were like Rangers and Celtic games. And the ones would have been like a Hibs or a Hearts, for example. And maybe Hearts I think Hearts had a good season when I was speaking about this, because it was round and about Romanov era. But irrespective, it's about having that belief. It's about having that. I've seen a lot of teams, especially in the war ages of Scottish football, that will have 2 or 3 years where they build, and then that third or fourth year, they'll go and try and break the trigger and try and win the league, or they'll try and challenge for promotion, or indeed challenge for honours. That's exactly what Hearts have to do. Hearts, if it doesn't happen from this year, I think they would be in a much better position to try and go for it next year.
No, I totally agree with Dave there, right? Because they've certainly got the squad to go up and maybe upset teams. And maybe the best that the Hearts can hope for, maybe no disrespect, is a point from a game at Parkhead or Ibrox. You know, because when you look at the Hearts squad, you've got Andy Halliday, you've got Gary Mackay-Skillings, who done a brilliant job at Celtic and Dundee United. You've got the man that we speak about every week. It's the new sponsor of the show, Craig Gordon. He's just brilliant. And I think Snodgrass will just bring something a wee bit different to the Hearts game as well. Maybe the Hearts fans will be a bit disappointed how he never get signed in time for the European games, but he can still do a job domestically as well.
Well, Snodgrass is in my lineup tomorrow because he obviously has done these double sessions. He's in my squad tomorrow. I think he would give us a bit more creativity along with Barry Mackay and Alan Forrest supporting Lawrence Shankland. I think tomorrow is a massive opportunity for Hearts to go out there and actually get 3 points off Rangers. As I said, last season we only took 1 point off Rangers. We need to do better than that. So it's a huge game tomorrow, but I mean, Tynecastle's going to be full of rafters. It's going to be a really good atmosphere, and I just hope that we can start the game well. I mean, I say this so many times on the show. We need to start the game well, and I think for us to have any chance tomorrow, we have to score first. It's going to be a tough game, but I genuinely think Hearts have a really good chance tomorrow.
So I give you the big build-up, Graham, and you just kind of put the knife right through it. So yeah, buy the Hearts program tomorrow. I was doing a good service there.
I am in the program tomorrow, but it's a 700, 800 word piece, basically about Hearts, obviously, and it was. I've actually mentioned our show on it as well. So yeah. If anyone's going tomorrow and wants to buy a program, it will be in there. You'll see my name in there, and I can't wait. I've actually bought the program myself this morning, so that should come to you later. So yeah, I've never done that before, so it's great fun.
Yeah, no, that was good as well. Turning attention to Rangers just for a slight moment before we move on to speak about the other games tomorrow. What do you make of the quote, Dave? I don't know if you saw it by Barry Ferguson in today's Daily Record, where he says Rangers must win every game before the World Cup shut down and sideline the Champions League. What's your comments on that, Dave? Because I've got my own personal views on that one, but I don't know how you feel about that.
I think Barry's got a good point. I mean, if Rangers are serious about winning the league again this year, I think they've got to be looking at this and looking at taking 3 points from every game possible, or being undefeated in every game possible. I think what Barry's point is more than anything else is a mentality. I think Barry's searching for that mentality. I don't think he's of the. I haven't read the article, so I can't exactly give you a thorough assessment of what he said. But at the same time, as well, I think there's a mental. I think he's searching for a mentality. I think Barry acknowledges that the league is the bread and butter for Rangers. Obviously, the Champions League is good, but in terms of Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, I think Barry's looking at that and going, "Look, Champions League is all fine and well, but at the same time as well, you need to be looking at the league and saying, if we want to replicate what we've achieved in the last few years, such as get to Europa League final and winning the league under Steven Gerrard and all that kind of stuff, you need to be winning leagues, so you need to be winning consistently." That's exactly what Rangers have done. They've hit a wee bit of a wall. results-wise recently, including getting beat by Ajax comfortably and getting beat by Celtic comfortably. So I think what Barry's trying to get across to us here is, I think he's trying to get the point of Rangers need to keep on winning. Rangers need to keep on remaining undefeated. They need to look after themselves. They can't worry about what's going on elsewhere. Because if they can beat in big games such as your Celtics, such as other big games, it's a bit of a worry. And I mean, it's going to be a fantastic Christmas cracker at the Tordray the 20th of December when they play Aberdeen. It's going to be a Christmas cracker. Aberdeen will be searching for that big win because Jim Goodwin wouldn't have had a lot of games. And I don't know when Rangers play Aberdeen at Ibrox, but I would presume it wouldn't be soon. So that would be a big one for Jim Goodwin to take off. It would be a green tick for Jim Goodwin if he got that result. But for Van Bronckhorst, it would be a sign of their championship credentials as well. And I think Barry's point alongside that is, I'll need to check the Rangers fixture list thoroughly, but Rangers don't have a lot of, with all due respect, tough games. They don't have a lot of games where you look at and go, this is where you potentially tough drop points. Tynecastle's perhaps one, right? They also got a Tynecastle tomorrow. That is a big sign of where Rangers are at this stage of the season. Also, it's a sign, as Graham alluded to earlier on, to see where Hearts are at this stage of the season as well. It's going to be a big test because Rangers lack 7 depth, in particular in the defensive area. Obviously, no John Suter and no Ben Davis is coming back. But I'll tell you who Rangers have got between now and the World Cup. They've got St Mirren next Saturday. They've got Motherwell. They've got Livingston. They've got Aberdeen the 29th of October. They've got St Johnstone. They've got Hearts again. St Mirren. And then Hibs, pardon me, they've got St Mirren and that's the World Cup, pardon me. Take Aberdeen and Hearts out of the equation. You're expecting Rangers to roll the roost with that. And I think that's what Barry's point is.
Could I just quickly ask Dave, I know it's probably a mute thing, but could I just ask Dave quickly, do you think there might be a concern from Rangers fans, well, I think there is actually, about the form of Ryan Kent at the moment, because he's not been particularly great? I'll probably jinx it now, he'll probably be great tomorrow. But do you think there's a bit of a concern about the form of Ryan Kent just now?
Yeah, I think Andy Walker raised an interesting point on that on, was it Go Football Radio last night? I think he raised an interesting point about that, where he was kind of like, he should have been more vigilant and aware of what his contract actually was, just in the aspect of he's unsettled, all these kind of things. Now, it's a big season for Rangers. And if you're Ryan Kent and have a serious mindset, you should be looking at that going, it's a big season for me. If I go and hit 2 goals and 5 assists in the Champions League group stages, just to give you an example, it puts you in the shop window. But at the same token, if you're performing well domestically, it puts you in the shop window. I mean, it wasn't long ago that Leeds United were interested in him and other Premier League clubs were interested in him. He's got to replicate that form again. But if he doesn't achieve that, he's going to end up going to Hull City, who just sacked Shota Arveladze today, just for clarification.
The got to say good evening to the big boss man Kevin. He's watching, so we might speak about Auchinleck about 5K7 tonight, but we will talk about that. Moving on to the game at Parkhead then, 3:00 of Celtic against Motherwell, and it's been a while since I've read out a big injury list from Celtic. So Scarfelter's out, Kat Vickers misses out, and Giamakis miss out as well. Graham, will Andy Postecoglou just be glad that the game's at home? Because in a away game, when you've got players that are missing, then it's going to be a struggle. But you're playing at home. But as I say, anything could happen.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, before the international break, we know what happened against St Mirren. That was a poor result, but it's one of very, very few that's happened in the last year. So I think Celtic have still got a strong enough squad to be able to cope with that. Yes, the players that are missing will be a massive blow, but Celtic have still got a strong enough squad to deal with that. And I would expect them to win against Motherwell tomorrow. It might not be comfortable, but I think they'll win it. Motherwell will give them a difficult test. I'd expect Motherwell to be very defensive-minded, as most teams are when they go to Celtic Park. But if Celtic score early, then you've got to assume that Celtic will win the game. But I mean, yes, it'll be a worry the injury list they've got, but they've still got a big enough squad to deal with that, and I don't think it'll be a massive issue. But having the game at home after the international break, I think that'll be huge. And as well, there's the thing is as well that before that game, Rangers could be top before that game. So Celtic will know that it's a massive, massive game tomorrow. And I do think they'll be more than good enough to win that.
Dave, how worrying is it for and again, we're going to speak about Matt O'Reilly, but he was the one that was doing the press conference today for Celtic. And I'm just reading quotes here from the Danish under 20. Now I've lost it actually. No, I haven't. I think it again. The Danish under 21 head coach said that I believe it's only a matter of time before Matt O'Reilly moves to the English Premiership, and that's a worry for any of the Celtic players. But is that a worry if you've got Andy Postecoglou reading the kind of quotes at the moment?
I'm on mute. But he won't admit it. He won't admit it to the press. It is a worry, but he won't admit it. I think Matt O'Reilly's came into Celtic and transformed himself because he was at MK Dons where he did reasonably well. That's how he earned his move to Celtic. He's just replenished himself at Celtic. He's kicked on massively. He's made that move a massive springboard for himself, and it's been a big move for him. And he'll be eager to make sure that he can go into the Premier League. It'll come in January, but he has to use this next period in order to kick on, make sure he continues his fine performances, and then go across to England if the opportunity persists. And there is a great opportunity for him to go and do that. But the same token as well, he's obviously got a lot of talent, but I think he knows just the support he gets from the Celtic fans. And I think that's a big thing for Matt O'Reilly. He's playing Champions League football. He's playing games where he's expected to go and win every week. That's a good mentality within itself. That's a mentality where there's pressure inclined on you every week. Now, it's a totally different dynasty from playing in White Hart Lane and Emirates and Stamford Bridge and Anfield and Old Trafford and Etihad every week. But, I mean, Matt O'Reilly must love Dingwall because it's so cold up in Dingwall. And it's exactly the same as what you get up in Denmark. It's always freezing, so he must love Dingwall. So I think that's a big reason why he probably doesn't want to leave so soon. And he'll be eager to keep that going moving forward because he's also a big player for Celtic and he'll be keen to keep that going. But, I mean, agents will have a big say in how that evolves moving forward, and we'll just see what happens.
Now, I don't know if you guys, especially Dave, obviously you spoke to Andy Postecoglou when you were covering Dundee United and St Johnstone games, but when you go along to the press conference every Friday of the week, you always guarantee a bit of banter between Postecoglou and the media guys, right? Because one of the questions was today, how was your holiday in Australia? And we all know that Andy was in Australia, right? And his answer was, no, mate, I was working over there. I was promoting the game in November. So suddenly I was saying to myself, well, that journalist has just had a big pie over his face by saying that, because you can never get Andy anything, So I thought that was quite good.
There was a thing, Michael. There was a thing in England. Jurgen Klopp was getting asked a question today by journalists. It was about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and it's about why he wasn't getting called up to England squad and met from the England squad. And Jurgen Klopp's absolutely roasted this journalist. Well, roasted's not the right word, but what I would say is he absolutely. I think this journalist will have a humble pie for his supper tonight. We're going, oh God, what the hell has happened?
I quite enjoyed that. I did enjoy that.
So we're going to as from Motherwell, Graham. I was watching Stevie Hamill's press conference today, and Murrow has got no injury worries ahead of after the international break. But he was saying that the squad isn't up to full strength and depth. But I think you're right. I think Murrow will just come and basically park the bus tomorrow.
Yeah, that was always a concern for me, that they didn't strengthen enough a few weeks ago. And listen, Stevie Hamill's he's got the job on merit, but I did worry that it was maybe a little bit too late. And I don't think they do have enough strength and depth. But their season's not going to be defined by games against Celtic and Rangers. That's a big game tomorrow. But if they lose, it's not going to be a massive, massive disappointment. But it might be how they lose. If they were to get hammered, then that would be a massive blow. But I think Stevie Hamill's done a fantastic job in Motherwell so far. If they can go there tomorrow and frustrate and try and keep it tight for, the first 20 minutes, half an hour or so, they give themselves a chance. And I think in Kevin Van Veen, they've got somebody that's a real threat up front. So they could potentially cause Celtic problems, but it's that first goal. They can't afford to lose that early, because if you go to Celtic Park and lose an early goal, you're in massive trouble. So if they can keep it tight for as long as they can, give themselves a chance to get into the game, then you never know. But I just think that Motherwell side isn't strong enough. But as I say, they're not going to be defined by games at Celtic Park.
And when was the last time Motherwell beat Celtic? Maybe if you're watching, you can comment below. But any of you guys know?
Couldn't tell you, innit?
Dave, don't look it up. I know what you're like.
2017.
Nope. Anyway, I'm going to keep this going for a wee minute or two. So if you want to comment on anything about what we're talking about, comment below. We're on Sunday as well. No football, but no rest for the wicked. We'll be here between 3 and 5, looking back at the weekend's action and looking ahead to the midweek action involving the Old Firm and Hearts in European football. And of course, we'll be back next week as well. Right, I've gave you a lot of time to think about it. Not. Do you want me to tell you the answer?
Go on then.
2015.
Oh, close.
I was just going to say that. Stop tipping my tongue.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You were going to say 2014, weren't you, Graham? But
Probably.
I'll be interested to see how Celtic bounces back from the result against St Mirren. But in a way, Graham, the international break came at a bad time for Celtic, because soon as you get defeated, you want to play next week, but you had to. I suppose that you've got to sit on that result for 2 weeks, but the opposite way, that if you win the game comfortably against Mirren, you won a game next week because your confidence is up. So you can't really have it both ways.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think Celtic would have wanted a game quickly after that St Mirren game to get out of the way, but I think the international break's been a good thing. And listen, Callum McGregor has played a lot of football. I think he played 63 games last season. He's already played pretty much all the games this season, but he'll be on a massive high from these Scotland games. So he'll be a massive player for Celtic tomorrow, as he is every week. So I think Celtic will go into this looking to try and start another run. They were unbeaten in over a year, I think it was. They'll look to try and start another run. And I think Postecoglou, as I said before, he's been a massive he's been a great addition to Scottish football. And I think you spoke about him earlier on. I think Matt O'Reilly's been a great signing for Celtic. He really has. 21-year-old, and he's playing Champions League football against Real Madrid and stuff. I think he's been a great signing. He's creative. He's really good on the ball. He's composed. I think he's been a great signing. So I do expect Celtic to win tomorrow and probably go another run. But listen, Motherwell will make it difficult. I've got no doubt about that. But it's just that first goal. If Celtic get it early, then they could go and score 3 or 4. But the longer it goes at 0-0, the more frustrated Celtic might get. So it's a tough one, but I do think they'll win.
Yeah, no, you were talking about Van Veen a minute or two ago, and I think we always speak about him because I always feel as though Tony Watt could get skilled done a job at Motherwell, but I think like when you're watching games at the moment, they're still missing that kind of cut edge kind of player can score a goal, because I think it was in the last game, was it, that Kevin Van Veen missed a hat trick of chances, Graham. And I know I said to you on the show that day that we were saying, oh, well, Kevin Van Veen's goal was offside, but when you see it again, it was kind of like onside. So it's not a kind of like out-and-out goal scorer.
Yeah, I mean, I like Van Veen. I think he offers a lot to Motherwell. He's got a physical presence and he does score goals. And you look just before the international break as well, we were on the show when Motherwell played Hearts, and Motherwell had numerous chances in that game and couldn't score. And they should have taken someone out of the game, but Hearts were clinical that day. I mean, you can see there's a very big difference from a Graham Alexander team to a Stevie Hamill team. Stevie Hamill likes to get the ball down and pass the ball and create chances. I kind of felt under Alexander it was a case of just get the ball long and hope something happens. Motherwell are a very decent team now under Stevie Hamill, which seems strange to say because it's pretty much the same players, but he's got the players playing a certain brand away, and it's just been a bit more clinical up front. And I do think that bringing Louis Moult back, I think that's a decent signing. I'm not going to lie, I think he was a good player, but they do, and I've said this numerous times before, I think at times they do rely on Van Veen a little bit too much. If he's not scoring, they maybe look a little bit light up front. But if he can take more chances, and if you get the thing is when you go to Celtic Park at Ibrox, when you get a chance, you have to take it because you know that Celtic will take chances. So you've got to. If Van Veen gets a chance tomorrow, he's got to take it.
Okay, so that's Celtic against Motherwell tomorrow. Let's move on to the big derby tomorrow. Dundee United against St Johnstone, and it's his first. Well, I was going to say it's his first game in charge of being the full manager, Liam Fox, and I believe that you were speaking to him this week, Dave.
First and foremost, if you tell any Dundee United fan that Johnstone's a derby, you get absolutely roasted. Their main derby is Dundee, so I thought I'd get that out there. It's a big game for both clubs. There's no doubt about it. It's a big game for both clubs. If Dundee United can go and win tomorrow, it's the perfect start to the Fox evolution. If St Johnstone win, it's another confidence booster to build on what was a predicament last season. And it's a big game for both clubs. There's no question about it. Now, there's been bigger games between Dundee United and St Johnstone, cup finals and relegation deciders and top six split deciders and European places on the line and all that. But tomorrow's just as vital. I mean, let's be honest. I remember last year I covered Dundee United against St Johnstone at Paradise. Xander Clark was phenomenal that day. Had some terrific saves. And St Johnstone won that game 1-0. But they did build on from it. And that was the most unfortunate thing from a St Johnstone persuasion. As for Dundee United, they are going into tomorrow with fresh optimism, where Liam Fox getting appointed. And I think it's going to be an interesting one because you can provoke a reaction from players being an interim manager. But I think there's a difference between being an interim manager and actually being the manager of the football club. Because the honeymoon period can only last so long. And is there even such a thing as a honeymoon period? Because managers will tell you, people, football tell you, there can sometimes be a period where you think a new manager will come in and change the water at the club, and it ends up being soggy again. It ends up being chlamydia again. It ends up being poor again. And yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game because United are improving, but there's only so much improving they can do. They need results. And that's the bottom line. St Johnstone, on the other hand, they've had a pretty decent month. Their Achilles heel is they're not scoring enough goals again. They're more solid this year. And I think that's a good thing from Davidson's side. But I think they need more goals as well. So it's going to be an interesting one tomorrow. It's a very interesting game.
And of course, Mickey Clark's going back to his old club tomorrow, Graham. What's the betting he'll score the winning goal?
I was just gonna say that. I mean, he spoke before he left about the fact that it was nice if he wanted it at St Johnstone. So he'll maybe have a point to prove tomorrow. Not that I think he does need a point to prove, but that's you kind of find that when a player goes back to his former
Yeah.
club, he always scores. So you can. I would take a bet on that he's going to score at least one, if not more.
You can actually make a DVD of former players going back to their clubs and scoring the winning goal, or maybe get a point, Graham, because I know we're laughing about it, but it happens.
100% it does. I mean, I think if you get United fan tomorrow, you'd be thinking, if anyone scores, please don't let it be Nicky Clark. Just don't let it be him. But you know it's going to happen. And I think it is a big game tomorrow. You know, United need to start winning games. They're only on 2 points so far this season. They need to start winning games. And it's a big game for Liam Fox. You know, his first game in full charge. It's a massive game for him. It's at home. You would hope United get a decent crowd for that game tomorrow. So I think it is a massive game. And for Callum Davidson, again, he needs the points as well. And I think Dave's right. They don't score enough goals, but you can just guarantee that Nicky Clark's going to score. I'll be watching Soccer Saturday tomorrow, and I will not be surprised if Nicky Clark's name pops up on the goals, because it's guaranteed it's going to happen.
Graham, Dave, I was going to say it's a bit of a conveyor belt at St Johnstone, because you mentioned Zanger Clark. How big a miss for St Johnstone fans will he be this season, and how big of a big influence will be Nicky Clark putting the ball, scoring a lot of goals for St Johnstone?
I don't think Zander Clark's as big a miss as what people are perceiving him to be, in all honesty. Remy Matthews has come in and done very, very well for St Johnstone. He came in at the very last minute, and it feels as though he's been there for 2 years rather than 2 months. And he's came in and made a massive difference to the way St Johnstone play, also the way in which St Johnstone are organised defensively. I think Carl Davidson, you sense it from the way he speaks to the media and the way he conducts his business. You can sense he's had a refreshed mentality about him, because last season he looked absolutely sharp, probably because of everything that went against St Johnstone last year. I think them surviving relegation is the pick-me-up that Carl Davidson needed, because it could easily have went harmlessly wrong. So I think from St Johnstone's point of view, it's different. Nicky Clark's going to play a massive role tomorrow. St Johnstone have been crying out for goals, and I think they're getting a lot of joy with Nicky Clark. He was brilliant at St Mirren, and St Mirren have been a decent enough side, as Celtic noticed a couple of weeks ago. They've got Conor McLennan, who's scored under the radar a little bit. They've also got another winger. Forgotten who the other winger is now, but they're a lot more vibrant in the forward areas now, and I think that deserves a lot of credit.
I did mention to you about one of the media guys talking to Angie about a holiday, right? At the Dundee United play. Now, I must act, right? I don't go to the press conferences just for a laugh and a joke, right? I do work at the press conferences for the show, right? But this particular journalist asked Liam Fox and Sharon McGrew, it was doing the press conference yesterday, as you know, Dave, right? He basically asked Sharon McGrew twice, and Liam Fox once, what do you prefer to be called, Liam Fox or Foxy? And I was like, well, you know, if I was a Dundee United fan, I don't care what you call him. Long as he helps the team win games. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not going to mention the journalist can question, but how stupid are they questions?
I'm not surprised, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Anyway, before I go off in a rant, as I
Michael, can I just add something?
Yeah.
STV did a piece on, obviously, Liam Fox's press conference on Tuesday, and I was actually mingling around my phone this afternoon, or else I had the perfect mouthpiece interview for you, because I asked Liam Fox the question about if he was ready to be a manager. What was the STV headline? I'm ready to be a manager, Liam Fox.
Yeah, I always know you mix with the big boys, apart from us here on Indie Live Radio, but you know, like and stuff. So yeah, listen to Dave. You know, he's a proper journalist, a bit like me, and a bit like Duffy as well, because you know, you're qualified now, even though you've not got a bit of paper. But we'll say that you are.
I prefer the term pundit. That'll do me.
Pundit, yeah. Learn your name's not Chris, but anyway, moving on. Told you I was on the rant there. So that's Dundee United and St Johnstone tomorrow. Let's move on to speak about your rivals, Graham, Closter City. Ross County and Hibs, and a bit of team news from Hibs. First of all, Kennel McKenna is close. Josh Doyle Hayes is 50-50 to make the game. Back in training is Kevin Nisbet, Rocky Bashir, and Egan McGeady. There you go. There's a man that only played 5 minutes. So they're back in training, Graham, but they won't make the squad for tomorrow's game up at Ross County.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for me is that they've got Kevin Nisbet back training. I think they've really missed him badly. They lack a natural finisher. I've spoken about this before. I think Ellie Ewan's a really good player, but doesn't score enough goals. So I think that's a massive, having him back training at least is a huge boost. And I think as well, they'll get a massive boost for Ryan Porteous as well, coming back from Scotland duty and having played so well the other night. So he'll be on a massive high as well. So, Hibs are looking decent. They've got 11 points at the moment. They're sitting in 6th place. They've got a chance if Hearts get beat tomorrow to go above Hearts. So it's a big game for them tomorrow. And I think Lee Johnson, before they went off an international break, they beat Aberdeen 3-1. Obviously, they send it off and that helped. But it's a huge game for Hibs tomorrow. Going to the Highlands is not going to be an easy game. I think Malcolm Mackay said before, he's a good manager. He's got County playing some good football. It's an intriguing game tomorrow. I don't know how I think this is going to go. I think Hibs could potentially win, but then I look at Ross Kent and I think that they've got enough quality as well to really cause problems tomorrow. So it's a tough game to call. I really do think that, but I think Hibs on the back of... I mean, listen, I've said before on the show that I think Porteous is overrated, but I'll always be honest on the show, and I'm not going to be biased. He was very, very good on Thursday night. He was very impressive. So he will get a massive lift from that game. And I expect him to be in full confidence tomorrow. But it's a really hard game to call tomorrow because Ross County are a very hard team to play against. So it's a tough game to call.
Dave, I was going to say, that's the last game you want to play Ross County, especially up at Dingle, because you're always guaranteed for a real game of football. And I know Graham was saying about he fancies Hibs tomorrow, but it's always, you've always got to not go up there for the 3 points, obviously, but you've always got to work hard as well. Now, that's the second time Gabe's on mute tonight. One more time and that's a hat trick.
Aye, one more time and I'm sucked. It's funny, Michael, because the last time Hibs went up to Dingwall was the COVID outbreak. Remember?
Yeah.
Where Hibs got narrated for basically congregating with members in the public out with their bubble. So thought I'd get that one out there, although Hibs won't acknowledge that by any stretch of imagination. But yeah, I think it's a big one for Hibs tomorrow. I mean, Ryan Porteous will be coming into the game in a massive high after his performance on Tuesday. He was absolutely brilliant for Scotland. Hibs have been picking up of late. But I've got a feeling there's going to be a little bit of inconsistency with Hibs, especially this season. They're not going to hit the heights of what they did last season. Last season was poor for Hibs. They were poor under Jack Ross in certain stages, and they were poor over the piece under Sean Maloney. Sean Maloney's admitted that, because I think he did an interview with the Daily Mail on Sunday, admitting that himself, which is all fine and well. And my mate Carl McFadden interviewed him on Sunday as well, and I think he said exactly the same thing to him as well. So at least he's admitted his misdemeanors and his errors. But for Hibs, a massive game, an opportunity to see where they're at. Also, the same token, an opportunity to see where Ross County are at. I think the break's done them the world of good. I was listening to stuff that Malky Mackay was doing for Ross County TV, and he was saying that he gave them a weekend off last weekend, and I think he gave them Monday off as well. They were back on Tuesday, ready for what's going to be a congested and complex programme coming up, because they play 9 games in 6 weeks, which is a lot for professional footballers and a lot for part time and all that as well. It's a lot for footballers in general. And I think for Ross County, they'll be going to make Global Energy Stadium a fortress again. As for Hibs, they can go into this one with a lot of enthusiasm, especially after Ryan Porteous' performances. I'm surprised. I'm actually generally surprised that Wade Johnson's deflected his press conference on Ryan Porteous rather than focus on the game. I'm surprised he's went focused on Ryan Porteous now. As much as Ryan Porteous deserves a lot of praise, and he's obviously in the spotlight at the moment after his performance on Tuesday. If I was in Wade Johnson's shoes, I'd have been focusing on tomorrow's game, because Ryan Porteous is Ryan Porteous. You've got to manage him. The minute you hype him up, he'll get hyped up in the park. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting one for him, because Europe and domestic is two completely different things. Is he going to be the pantomime villain in Dingwall, or has Wade Johnson had a word with him and says, "Look, you did well on Tuesday. You can't be funny and arrogant and dodgy and weird again." It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Jets, sorry. Do you think Ryan Porteous deserves a pay rise, or indeed, if he doesn't get a pay rise, a bigger club?
I know what Graham's going to say about the pay rise, so maybe it's a waste of time asking him about that. But for me, I've said that Ryan Porteous is a very kind of overrated football player. I had to eat a bit of humble pie on Wednesday night, because I thought he did well in a very difficult game. Pay rise, I wouldn't go that far, because if he's getting a pay rise, I want a pay rise. But one good game is not going to make him kind of move on to a bigger club, as it were. Maybe I'm talking nonsense here, Graham. You can maybe come in there, but like I feel as though that was the first game I've seen Ryan Porteous having a brilliant game, but I don't want Hibs every week. But after every Hibs game, whether they're playing Celtic or Rangers or whoever, I don't see Ryan Porteous standing out as the man of the match. I just see Ryan Porteous as part of the team that Hibs got the point or the 3 points. So in answer to your question, I still think he needs to do a lot of work, and I think maybe people might get carried away just because he did play well for his first kind of like full cap on Wednesday night. Graham, I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the pay rise, I'm not sure. In terms of the bigger club, I certainly don't think he's Premiership level. Could he play in the English Championship? Potentially, but then who for? I think, as I said before, I think on Wednesday it was fantastic. I'm not going to lie, it was brilliant on Wednesday night. But I think he's not consistent enough, and I still think he's got those errors in him where he is a bit rash. So could he move to a bigger club? Possibly, but I think it would probably more be the English Championship level rather than anything higher than that.
What about you, Dave? Obviously, you asked the question. You must know that. Well, not know the answer, because this is not a crystal. But you know what? I mean, there must have been a reason why you were asking that kind of like.
No, I'm just asking the question based on what Wade Johnson was saying in his press conference more than anything else. But I think in terms of in terms of Ryan Porteous, I think he can play English Championship level no problem at all, because he probably suits the English game better than he suits the Scottish game, in all honesty. Because you look at Scott McKenna, they're both very similar players, McKenna and Porteous, I think. And McKenna's came to England and is now playing the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. Maybe not had the start of the season he'd have desired for Forest, but he's come in and is now an English Premier League defender. Ryan Porteous can go and sign for a Charlton, or he can go and sign for Sunderland, or he can go and sign for a Birmingham, and it'd be an upgrade at Hibs. There's no question about it. And I think if you're Ryan Porteous, you're kind of looking at that and going, it's another step in his career. He's played for FC Edinburgh. That was a good grounding for him. He's played for Hibs. He's made himself into what people call this pantomime villain. He's now looking at the possibility of moving on. I've seen people touting him to play in Serie A. I think that's a little bit too far. But at the same time as well, it's going to be an interesting concept to see what happens moving forward. I think his agent will be demanding more money. But I'm a big believer. Why do you demand more money when he said one good game? When I mean one game, I'm going to define it and elaborate on it. One good game in an international jersey, right? For Hibs, a lot of Hibs fans are delirious for him. They love him, enjoy the way he plays. At the same time as well, he's old school, but exactly the same time, there'll be fans of Scottish football, and Hibs fans as well, may I add, that'll tell you there's a mistake and there's a liability problem in Ryan Porteous.
Let's move on now, because I want to speak about the rest of the games as well before we move on. Reagan has just come on, and I don't know if you've noticed, but he's had very, very severe technical issues in the past. You were doing a hockey cokey, you were in and out about 5 times, but I'm glad to see that you're on, Reagan. How are you?
I'm doing well, Michael. Thank you for having me on, mate. Yep, I'm wearing my Hearts colours for Graham this week.
I was going to say that. You've got
He said it all about and turned around.
Yeah,
that's what it's
Exactly,
all about.
Dave. Exactly, Dave.
Back at the room. So we're just going to move on, but before we move on to speak about St Mirren and Livingston, and I think this is the day of the game of the day. It's the Hearts and Rangers game. David Martindale was talking about the TV deal to you, and he said it's I'm not getting too excited about it. It's okay. This is the first kind of chance we've had a chance to speak about the TV deal. So, Reagan, what's your take on it?
I did see what David Martindale said. He basically said that he's not happy with it, but Sky's a big company and he knows for the next 7 years that Sky will back Scottish football, because Michael, me and you and Graham and Dave have been on, and we've seen different TV stations that have went out of business. So people know that Sky is a broadcaster that can be there for the long term. So I think that's a big thing for Livingston as well, because no disrespect to Michael, but they're playing for the man and the man and a dog. So if they can get a 20% increase in their revenue, I think that can be a great thing for them, because I'll be looking more at this TV deal, Michael, right? And I'm thinking about it, right? So Sky, they popped in early, right? And they basically gave us a brand new deal, 30 million a year, right? Which to me is a bad deal, right? But when you look at it, people are talking about Holland, Belgium, right? But Belgium and Holland actually, they show every game, but they don't get as much per game for the product. So we're actually getting more per game than they are for showing every game. So when you look at it from that aspect, I think it's actually a good deal, because when you actually look at it from the perspective that Livingston are in the league, you look at the fact that Ross County are in the league, and these smaller clubs are not going to attract big audiences, Michael. I'm sorry to say that to you, but they're not going to attract it. So obviously on Wednesday when me and you spoke about it off air, I was kind of thinking it's a bad deal. But the more I think about it, the more I think that's actually no bad deal. And then what else I was thinking about, Michael, is what happens if the Scotland national team and the Rangers and Celtic always get into Champions League? Then in the next 5 years, Sky might say, right, we see a progression in Scottish football here, and we might put even more money in it. And the thing that's interesting to me that Dave said the other day is see all the graphics and stuff that Sky do. That's all done from London. So, so that's something to bear in mind as well, is that as much as we blame Sky Sports for the putting a Dundee badge instead of a Hearts badge and stuff like that, but I'm just thinking now it maybe is a good deal because during this energy crisis, we don't actually know how much money these companies would have put forward. And as Graham said the other night, Sky's the only backer. Sky's the only one that's popped in. So we
Graham, Dave, what's your comments on that?
Yeah, I agree with really good sentiments there. I mean, when you look at the Sky deal, it's obviously okay, nothing exciting. Okay,
No.
at least we'll get games live on the television. But I'm also of the opinion as well that BBC could have came in for a bid. Premier Sports could have came in for a bid. I know Premier Sports are waiting to amalgamate with others such as Viva Play, is it? Viaplay, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
yep.
Viva plays it. So they're waiting to amalgamate with them. Also, STV perhaps.
But
Channel 4 even.
But Dave, I mean, a public service broadcaster don't come in and bid for football rights.
Yeah, but you're maybe how old are you again? Sorry.
I'm 24, but that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen in the modern market because if you look at like example the BBC, I mean you're lucky if the BBC are showing the highlights on a Saturday night. Never mind coming in for
What I was waiting to say is back 2 decades ago, when I was speaking early noughties, round about that period.
The way on BBC.
Of course, but as Graham will probably agree, the whole landscape of Scottish football and British football's changed. Look at the inception of Sky, BT, Amazon Prime. Back in those days, we had no inkling that Amazon Prime was anywhere near. So I think the days where Channel 4 say, right, we're going to bring in Darryl Curry to present Scottish football, I think it's long gone.
Graham?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one good thing I would say about the TV deal is that the women's game is going to be on that as well now. That's getting shown on Sky, which is great. But, I mean, I've said this numerous times before. I'm still not a fan of the fact that you're not going to get to see Championship, League One and League Two games on TV. You know, I think that's ridiculous. I've said again before that if you look at England, they've got a dedicated highlights package for Championship, League One and League Two. I don't know why Scotland doesn't have that.
I suppose what England would say to you, Graham, is that they've got more money down there, and they've got what they call parachute payments for TV. We've no parachute payments. The see the way that we're set up as the actual title holder who wins the league gets £5 million, Graham. So, and that probably is what I don't know. Accrington Stanley get down there for finishing 15th.
Probably, yeah, but I just think that, you know, Scottish football. I've said this before as well. Scottish football doesn't get highlighted enough. I think folk just look at us as a bit of a laughing stock. And I've just look at Scotland just now. You know, we've just won our group. We're in pot 2 for the Euros. I think folk in other places look at Scotland as a laughing stock, and at times we talk Scottish football down quite a lot as well. Not us, but other folk talk Scottish football down that are in Scotland. And I think we need to talk it up a lot more. We do this on the show, but I think we need to talk Scottish football up a lot more because it is a decent product, I think.
I've got to say, Dave, Graham, that you're right that they're showing the women's games and stuff, but they're not really a slap on the face to the women's game because I think they're only showing 5 games a season.
It's only 5 games in a space of 12 months. So
I was making the point. I was making a point, not to you guys, but I was making a point to what friends were making similar points to me. It's not going to be your Dundee, your Aberdeens, your Hearts, your Hibs, your Glasgow Women and all that. It's going to be Glasgow City, Rangers, Celtic games. It's going to be Glasgow City against Rangers, Glasgow City against Celtic, Rangers v Celtic.
Yeah, because
games for these sides to go and win leagues, games for these sides to go and win cups. That's all it's going to be.
But Dave, surely that's good for the broadcaster because then they're drawing in more viewers.
100% it is. But I think if you were speaking about it from an overall women's football perspective, at the same time, you'd have been looking for games such as Dundee against Aberdeen, for instance, being perhaps like a relegation decider, like 1 point between both sides, for example.
Right.
I think that would get a lot of interest. But at
To
exactly
play-
the same time,
To play devil's advocate again, Michael, the fact that they've got Sky buying in, it's probably a bigger platform than BBC Alba. No disrespect to BBC Alba,
Yeah.
but it's a
Yeah.
bigger
oh,
platform.
it's good. It's good in that area. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be clear in the arguments here, Reagan. But all that I'm saying is 5 games. I mean that's
It's terrible.
to me that's just a kick in the teeth because the women, and that's just good. And I don't like talking about this, right? But that's about like ticking the box and say, yep, we're covering the women's football. Move on to the next one. You know,
Did any of you watch Northern Irish Premiership?
no.
Nope.
The Northern
Never
Irish
watched a game in my
Premiership get
life.
5 games a season in Sky Sports, so it's very similar to the contract they'll get.
Yeah. But I mean, compare that to the Premiership in England, Dave. I know it's 2 different, competitions.
But that's quite a good comparison, though, Michael, because the Northern Irish Premiership has not got a very good profile. So that's quite a good comparison, Dave. Because if you look at the Northern Irish Premiership, I've never watched a game in my life, but obviously some people enjoy it. So
I haven't researched this. I probably should have done, but I was listening to something a couple of days ago, and apparently Sweden have a very good TV deal. I can't remember what it was.
yeah.
But Sweden have a really good TV deal compared to us.
But this is what I'm saying. But when your laptop broke there, Dave, Graham, sorry. What I was saying was that Sweden have got a good TV deal, as in they show every game, right? But they get less money per game than we're getting for a game. So we're getting more money per game than Sweden. That's what Dave Cormack's point was last week. So even though Sweden are showing every game, we get more money from the broadcasters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay,
before Michael comes in, we have a bit with David Martindale.
Probably mine. Spoke to, I'm fairly fortunate in the club, whereas I'm involved in that process. Probably a lot different for other managers in the Premier League, whereas John and Robert involved me quite a bit, if I'm honest. I think the telly deals, I don't think it's what everybody wants. Everybody's always going to want more money, aren't they? Everybody wants more money. Do I think it's a good deal? I think it's an okay deal. I think it could become a very good deal if they take their extra quota of games. I think Sky have been very good for Scottish football. I think we're fortunate to have them on board. And if you look at the current climate, I think everybody knows the rate of inflation, the cost of living. I think the next 12 months is going to get really hard for your average member of the public trying to survive and get by with energy costs, mortgage costs, that type of thing. So I think it's good to get a wee bit of security into Scottish football.
The thing I like listening to David Martindale every week is very honest. He's very honest, Graham.
Yeah, yes, he is a very honest guy. You know what you're going to get from him. I think he's a really good guy, and he is. I think he talks about Scottish football quite a lot, which is what you want to hear as a Scottish football fan. But I know this is maybe a moot point, right? But I just want to ask something to you guys as Scottish football fans, right? Let me ask you a question, right? So, say on a Sunday there is St Mirren again. I know this won't happen, but like say on a Sunday there's St Mirren against St Johnstone on TV, or there's Man United against Liverpool. What game are you watching on TV?
Probably Man U against Liverpool. Yeah.
Sorry, guys, is there a train going by, Dave? There's a bit of racket going.
That's Jim Goodwin on his motorbike.
No, but I think the St Johnstone against St Mirren's a good game, Graham. But I'm sorry, but I would have to watch Man U against Liverpool. But you probably chose a wrong game. Then you could have said Southampton against Doncaster or something. You could have said something like that, Graham.
I know, but it doesn't matter though, because the fact is that even though we're Scottish football fans and we've just said that a Man United Liverpool game, you'd watch that over a Scottish football game. That's my point.
Yep, I would.
I might be on my own here, but I would watch the
On
Scotland.
my own.
I would watch the Scottish Premiership game just because I watch the Premiership
Oh, there
every
you go.
week.
Michael has to disagree. That's
So
why he's on the show.
I would be the only one watching that game. But no, I get what you mean, Graham, because I mean, I don't want to get bogged down on the subject and we spend a lot of time on the subject. But one thing I want to say is during lockdown, right, on Sky, when you only saw, I think that season you only saw, say, like Motherwell and Hearts on a Monday night, and all the rest of the games were kind of like Celtic and Rangers games. And the only reasons why they put on Motherwell Hearts up Monday night was because the Premiership did get scattered the next week.
Michael, I totally agree with you, but I've came to this conclusion, right? And it is that, see now, right, I've took a step back. You know, I can't walk, but I've took a step back, Michael, right? I've took a step back and I've went, Sky don't actually care about Scottish football. So, at the end of the day, right, if SPFL, Neil Doncaster are listening to this show right now, what they should do is they should get an SPL TV set up so that you can just go on your laptop, you can go on your Fire Stick, you can go on your telly and you can say, I like to watch Motherwell versus St Johnstone. Because at the end of the day, Sky are never going to choose that because they know, right, you're going to get the average St Johnstone fan sitting in Southampton that's going to watch it. I don't think you're going to get many folk from down south that are going to go, I'm going to tune in and watch Dundee versus St Mirren today. You're not going to get that.
Let's move on now to speak about we just saw the man David Martindale. He was on speaking about the St Mirren game tomorrow, Livingston and St Mirren, and out with the Hearts Rangers game. Dave, I think this is one of the games of the weekend because St Mirren's just coming off at a good result against Celtic, surprising the result, and Livingston's a bit like Ross County, what we were talking about early on, because you don't know what you're going to get from Livingston, whether that's at home or in this case tomorrow the game's away from home. So it's going to be a very interesting game. But as Graham knows, that we always build up these kind of games and it'll end up 0-0.
Yeah. I was just thinking of something else there just for a minute. I'll get on to that part in a minute. But yeah, I think it's going to be an intriguing game tomorrow because you've got St Mirren side up with Boy after that win over Celtic. St Mirren are in a very good place right now. They've got everybody's stick on favourites to go down at the end of the season. Of course, we're in October, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I think Livingston will be looking at this and looking to get all 3 points. And the Hearts playing Rangers is an opportunity for Livingston to go and get was it St Mirren? There's an opportunity for them to go get third place, which would be a great initiative. So, in terms of both sides, it's a big game for both sides because if you were to put Livingston and St Mirren in the top 6, people would be going, what the hell has happened to the other sides in the Scottish Premiership? I think there's an evolution in the Scottish Premiership. I think, like, say, Ross Counties and that showed that last season. And, yeah, when you look at that, it's a bit emulating what the likes of your Ross Counties have done. And because they were fantastic last year. And don't get me wrong, Malcolm Mackay's doing a wonderful job. Rican, sorry
to go back to it, Michael, but Dave talking about there that there's improving teams and things are getting better. No, I'm sure, right? I'm sure to go back to it. I'm sure that if Sky see that everybody in Scotland is improving, I'm sure they'll come back and I'm sure they'll put a deal in. But I'm just not sure that they think, well, our viewers will do that.
Yeah. As for this one tomorrow, I was listening to a podcast last night because I'm covering Forfar against Dumbarton tomorrow. So there's a podcast out with John Gerrill, who plays for Dumbarton, and He was making a reference that Scott Booth thought Nicky Devil was a part-time player at best, and now he's the Livingston captain.
Yeah. It'll probably end up man of match now as well, Dave, just to throw that one into the mix.
I've got a big question for you, Dave. Since you're going to Forfar versus who is it tomorrow? Forfar against
The Barton.
Forfar against the Barn. Will you be getting a Forfar Brady? Oh,
I'll be getting a Forfar Brady. Oh, aye, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Graham, talking about Livingston and St Mirren again, but Dave was touching upon that. But that looks an interesting game tomorrow.
It does. I mean, they're both on 12 points, so they're in a good position. I'm genuinely surprised at St Mirren. After a poor Premier Sports Cup and a kind of poor start to the season, I thought they'd been down at the bottom. So I think they've done a remarkable turnaround. And that win against Celtic, they were excellent that day. We spoke about it. They were fantastic that day, and they really caused Celtic problems. So they've done a really good job. I wasn't convinced about Stephen Robinson before, but he's done a great job, and it's a big game. And I think in terms of Livingston, you know what you're going to get with him.
Aye.
Martindale's a very good manager. I keep speaking about this guy, but Joel Newbley could be a huge, pardon the pun, could be a huge player for them tomorrow. But it's a really difficult game. I think this could, potentially be a good game. Although we probably just jinxed it now. We'll be 0-0. But I just think the way that St Mirren are playing just now and at home, I really fancy St Mirren tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the only thing I want to ask you and Michael and Dave, sorry guys, the only thing that could be a wee bit of a surprise is the fact that, do we think that, of course, see if that St Mirren win against Celtic was played last week and they just come off for a 2-0 win, everybody was all buzzing, it was great. But the fact that they've not played in 3 weeks in Scotland, they're playing, do you think that really plays into it? Because I don't think there'll be that same buzz that there would have been if it was last week. You know what I mean? Because everybody's been away international duty, some of the players go on holiday, some go away with their family, you know what I mean? So it's totally different.
Yeah, potentially. But I think they'll have that in the back of their mind that the last time they played it in Paisley, they did beat Celtic 2-0, so that'll still be there. But yeah, the international break maybe didn't come at a great time for them. No. Michael mentioned the seller about Celtic, was it potentially a bad time for Celtic to have that break? They wanted to play straight away, but it could work either way. But I just think St Mirren will have that in the back of their mind that the last time we played, we beat Celtic. We're now playing Livingston. It's a tough game. There's no doubt about that. But there's got to be that feel-good factor at St Mirren just now, because I genuinely thought they were going to be in trouble a few weeks ago. And they've turned that round. They're sitting fourth in the league. And from thinking that St Mirren might be in relegation trouble, I genuinely think, I know it's still there's only 7 games played, but I genuinely think St Mirren could be potentially a top 6 club this season.
I don't think so.
So that's the games tomorrow. One game we haven't mentioned, and basically Graham pointed out to me just about 15 minutes ago, I think it was. Derek McInnes has signed a long-term deal with Kilmarnock. I do think that maybe a bit surprising. I'll come on to that in a minute. But this game, he's actually going back to one of his former clubs tomorrow, Aberdeen. But this game has been overshadowed by events off the park in another country, Northern Ireland. Kyle Lafferty with his racist video that he posted on social media last week. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I feel as though that we speak about racism and all that every week. So, but I just wanted to touch upon it before we go on to the game. Graham, I mean, what age is it? He's 35. You would think like a kind of role model like that, 35, would know better than that.
You had to come to me first, didn't you? You would. And I listened to a podcast a few weeks ago with Kyle Lafferty, and it was actually not about this, it was about totally different stuff, but he was very honest. He came across actually quite a nice guy, quite an intelligent guy, talking about his bet and stuff. And I thought he came across quite humble, and I was quite impressed with him. And then this comes out, and I think, what are you doing? You know, seriously, in this day and age, what are you doing that? I don't know what the video was. I've not seen it. I don't know if anybody has, but I mean, it doesn't paint him in a great light. And, you know, we're talking about the fact that he's got a hearing, I think, on the 20th of October. He could get a potentially 10 game ban, which would be huge for Kilmarnock when they're struggling anyway. So yeah, I just think Lafferty, you know, he must have known that whatever he did was going to come out eventually in the press. So yeah, the guy should really learn his lesson. But as I said a few weeks ago, I thought on a podcast I heard, he came across really well, came across quite humble. He was very open and honest about a lot of stuff that he's done in the past. And then for this to come out is massively disappointing.
Dave, the news came out about Derek McInnes signing a new deal for Kilmarnock. Do you think that's a surprising one to you?
Not really, no honesty, because the big question is from a Kilmarnock point of view is they want stability moving forward. They don't want to sit in their laurels 100%, but also they want sustainability. They want stability moving forward. And I think Derek McInnes signing a contract until 2026 is a positive for Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock's a club that usually back their managers. Also, they're a club that don't exactly panic with their managers either. They're not a club that sack managers just instantly. They're a club that will give managers time when they're under pressure or things become precarious. So I think they deserve a lot of credit in that regard. And I can understand why McInnes is signing a deal now. I think that'll be a different story if Kilmarnock go down. I think if Kilmarnock go down, that's when the lawyers will come in. But for now, I can understand why Kilmarnock have signed Derek McInnes in a longer-term deal. And it gives Kilmarnock a bit of stability, both on and off the park. It gives the Kilmarnock players an opportunity to know that they've got Derek at the helm for over 4 years. And it allows Derek to go and strengthen the squad if required in January, especially with the impending suspension of Kyle Lafferty.
Regan, I wanted to get your thoughts on the Kyle Lafferty incident as well.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one for him. I don't know why he needs to get himself involved in it, Michael, to be honest. I think it's so stupid, but yeah, he'll say that he was maybe drinking that night or something, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame to see that. I think that obviously he'll probably get a big ban and people will think he's deserved, and yeah, I mean it's just very, very stupid, to be honest. I don't know why he's done it.
Graham,
This is how football and alcohol doesn't mix, because if you're a professional footballer involved in a professional environment, you can't go out drinking. Well, you can go out drinking, but you have to watch how much you drink. You've got limits, and
But
that's exactly how
he would say he's young and enjoying his life.
Well, put it this way, Regan. If I got charged for assault on Saturday night in town for knocking somebody out or singing sectarian songs or whatever, I'm well known around Scottish football. So somebody would be in the Daily Record on the Sun on the Monday saying, Dave Smith has been charged. Sports writer Dave Smith has been arrested in conjunction with an assault on a police officer in Aberdeen Union Street on Saturday evening. It could be, honestly, right? These things go into public domain very quickly, meaning there's repercussions for the individual.
This is the thing, and Michael's actually mentioned this a few times, and rightly so as well. See, when you're a footballer now, a few years ago I might have got away with this, but see, when you're a footballer now, there's camera phones, there's stuff everywhere. Somebody is always taking a picture, so you're always going to get caught no matter what you do. And if you, as Dave mentioned, if you're well known, all it takes is one click of a camera. Somebody's right, I'll get money for that, I'll send that to the paper. You're going to get caught. If you're a footballer, you've got to be so careful of what you do, where you go, who you're mixing with. You have to be so careful. And Lafferty's been daft enough to get caught.
And I suppose that's a good point, Graham. Yeah, that is a good point.
Ryan Jack, end of the season, right? the newspapers were very quick to highlight the fact that Lion Jack had been in bed with another bird.
I don't know if we can say that on the radio, but you just have.
I
So
said
well,
bird, didn't I? I said
well
bird.
done.
You did.
But Graham, even though I want to laugh at that, Dave, Graham, that's a good point, because like years ago, Kyle Lafferty and all that, right, could you get away with that? But because of like social media, and basically you can't go anywhere with people on their phones, even on buses now. You know, people don't know how to communicate when they go out because they're always on their phones, right? But where I'm going with this one is Kyle Lafferty could get away with that maybe 10, 15 years ago, maybe, and maybe it would have come out. But because Dave's right, it hits social media kind of right away. And I mean, what does that say to your wee boy, Graham, if he wants to, or like he's playing cricket, right? But what happens if he wants to be a football player tomorrow, right? And he's looking up to people like Lafferty or Lee Griffiths, for instance, as well. You know, and that might put them off going into sport.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I actually spoke to him a couple of days ago and I asked him what he wanted to be when we grow up. And he did say he wants to be a footballer. And I'll be honest, see, a few years ago, he would watch it, but he wasn't that interested in it. But now he's playing, he's training, he's playing like every Sunday. And if there's a game on, he'll sit and watch it with me. Like, he'll watch the Hearts game. And it's great. I love that. And like, even yesterday, I went and watched him in training yesterday. And listen, when I was younger, the one thing I hated when I was a football, when I was training, I hated the physical side. I hated the running. I hated all that stuff. And he's not a massive fan of that. But see, yesterday, they did like sprinting bits during the training bit. And it's the best I've seen him do for a while. And that's probably the best I've seen him train for a while. And I says to him at the end, why did, you've never done that before. Why did you do that today? And he's like, because I want to be a footballer. And I was like, that's great. And the players he looks up to are actual Liverpool players. He looks up to like guys like Mo Salah, Andy Robertson, Virgil van Dijk. He doesn't look up to like Scottish footballers. But I know that he wouldn't look up to a guy like Lee Griffiths or that. My laddie's very he's one of these laddies that is very sensitive. He doesn't like fights. He doesn't like all that kind of stuff. But when he watches a game, he just wants to watch it because he wants to watch football. He wants to play football.
I thought you were going to say he doesn't like birds there, Graham.
Well, no, yeah.
I was hoping we didn't get too off air there.
If he's anything,
Frank Machiavelli, no?
If he's anything like his daddy, he'll not get involved in that. But no, he just loves playing football. And that's, for me as a father, that's what I want.
Let's move on then to speak about the game before we move on to the women's football next week. Aberdeen, obviously this game's been overshadowed, but the game tomorrow, Dave, very interesting game.
Jim Goodwin won't be overshadowed by it. If you're an Aberdeen fan or Aberdeen player, manager, respectively, they'll be going for all 3 points. Now, Derek McInnes hopefully gets a good reception at Pittodrie. I don't think he'll get a thorough reception. I can see a couple of Aberdeen fans heckling him as he comes out, especially those in the main stand, but I can see this being a cagey game. I can see Goodwin was respectful towards Derek McInnes in his press conference, wasn't he? He was respectful in the aspect that he knew the job that Derek had achieved at Pittodrie, but at the same time, Jim Goodwin's going out for 3 points for Aberdeen. Vice versa. Derek McInnes has wanted to win the game for Kilmarnock. It'll be a special day for Derek McInnes, don't get me wrong, especially being at a club for that amount of time. Because if you're at a club for a long time nowadays in modern day football, it takes a lot. So it's going to be a special day, but for both managers, they'll be keen to win.
Another wee aspect to this, Dave, you'll know this. I see Jim Goodwin who's saying he'll be in the away dugout because he's changed the dugout. So Derek McInnes, Derek McInnes will be in his home dugout then.
Yeah. I forgot it. Jim Goodwin said that at the beginning of the season. Don't ask me why he done that, Dave. I don't know if you've got a wee into it there, but I'm not very sure why he done that for.
Yeah, sorry, I was getting a text from somebody there. So pardon me, unprofessional. Man. But anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. It'll be one where both sides will be make their own account in the game. I think it's a big. Derek McInnes and Jim Goodwin aside, it's a massive game for both clubs. For Aberdeen, they need to get back to winning ways because it was a disappointing outcome of Hibs. I think Jim Goodwin was a little bit disappointing in terms of his post-match comments. I listened to a podcast last week, Michael and Jensen. The guy that was on it, he's not a journalist. He's just a guy that likes a pipe, basically, but has a good sense about football. And he was making the point about he wouldn't want Goodwin at his club if he's making derogatory comments in the way he did while in that Hibs game. I can acknowledge where he's coming from because a manager should be behaving himself when speaking to the press. Behave is maybe the wrong expression, but he should be more diligent and more professional in the way he conducts himself. And you've got PR officers at the club, Aberdeen Football Club, who should be having a wee word in his ear going, Jim, should be moaning about politics in front of the camera. Maybe a wee reference, but I think in Red TV, he referenced Brian Portis a good 4 or 5 times on that specific interview. So for Aberdeen, they need a win. William Scales getting suspended is disappointing, but I hope Jack Milne gets an opportunity tomorrow. He's a young guy, but he's shown a lot of promise in the youth academy, so I hope he gets a start because Aberdeen in recent years have been renowned for playing players that have been in the youth academy, which is going to absolutely disappoint Derek McInnes and me, because Derek McInnes absolutely berated the youth academy at Aberdeen. But for McInnes, he'll be gunning for the win as well.
Let's move on to speak about there's a big game. Obviously, we covered the Scotland games, guys, on the show last week for the men's game. But this Thursday night, when we'll be on air for the Hearts for the Florida Kina game. And don't forget, we'll be here from 10 o'clock on Thursday night. But also, there's a big game taking place at Hampden Park for the women's international team. They are playing Austria in the World Cup playoff semi-final, and let's hope there's a big full house along at Hampden Park on Thursday night. Of course, they finished second in their group B. They won as well, so it's a brilliant chance for people to get along to the game on Thursday night. And obviously, Dave, it's a brilliant chance for Scotland to get to a World Cup and more excitement and skigger going on about men's football, but women's football as well.
Yeah, first and foremost, good for that. First and foremost, I listened to a podcast with John Blaisdell, who Deborah Black, Jay Lewis, Amy Canavan, and Chris Marshall. Chris Marshall had a rather interesting insight into what was going to happen. So for Scotland to actually qualify for the World Cup in Australia next year, they need to beat Austria on Thursday, they need to beat the Republic of Ireland, and then go into a playoff in New Zealand. It's interesting to say the least, but Thursday's you tell me where you're drinking. Thursday's the priority first and foremost for Scotland. It's about putting our own impetus in the game. It's going to be a hard game because Austria reached the quarterfinals of the Euros in the summer, and are a very, very good side. So if we can go and beat Austria, I think it's a sign of where we're going under Pedro Martinez-Loza. Vegan.
I'm just getting tired thinking about that there. You'd be quicker going to driving to Spain in a bus than qualifying for the Euros. It takes about a month to drive to Spain in a bus, and then you're then you get 3 qualifying games. But no, I think Scotland have got a good squad. We've got players for Arsenal, for Real Madrid, for Aston Villa. We've got players for Rangers as well. Nicola Docherty, the captain, Rachel Corsi as well. So we've got a lot of good players. We've got is it Weir who's joined Real Madrid, or Los Blancos is going to be called? But Caroline Weir. So we've got a lot of good players. And when's the last time we said that Scotland is a player for Real Madrid and Liverpool and Arsenal and just as I say that a train goes by Dave Window. Sorry, Dave.
It's Ryan Jack with his birds in the back.
Yeah, they're coming up to the house. Yeah. But Thursday night's game, Grim, is going to be quite big. Do we know if that game's on BBC Alba or
It
because
will be.
that game
It is.
yeah, it deserves to be higher than BBC Alba, but anyway, that was part of the discussion earlier on.
Dave, are you any good at the Gaelic?
No. Doric, but not Gaelic.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean it's a long kind of road just to get to our World Cup, Dave.
Yeah, but as I was saying, they need to beat Austria on Thursday, they need to beat Republic of Ireland if the opportunity persists, and then they've got to wait till February to play a playoff in New Zealand, not against New Zealand, but play a team in New Zealand. And it's
My God.
That's a bit kind of. I've never heard of that before.
I mean, as that Scottish.
Michael, sorry, we've got 20 minutes to go. I'm going to go for a lie down at 7:05, mate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks for sharing that with the nation, Dave.
As that song goes, Scotland will take the high road, we take the low road. I mean, we've got to take a lot of roads to get to the World Cup anyway.
The long and winding road.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, of course, we'll be on Thursday night as well. Just to remind people that we'll be on Thursday after the Hearts game, Tuesday night and Thursday night as well after the game. Yep. Okay. So, and of course, we'll be back on Sunday between 3 and 5 to round up the weekend's action and look ahead to the midweek action in European football. Don't forget, you can comment on anything that we're talking about tonight on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, or on Twitter as well. We are at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter as well, and we're here until 7 o'clock tonight. So yeah, I mean, it's a good. I mean, I think we should be encouraging people to go and watch Scotland again, and they could look at the ticket prices for the game.
No, I was going to say the Scotland Supporters Club get free entry. So anybody that's got a Scotland Supporters Club gets free entry. Is that not right, Graham and Dave? Keep me right, Bob.
Yes, and then if you're not a member, it's still £10 or £5. So decent value considering the cost of living that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, no, exactly, Graham. And I was talking about role models there, but if people go along to that game, hopefully you'll see some role models that go into about 5 different countries if they win the game in Thursday night and not even go to the World Cup. But that's before you get to the World Cup finals.
100%. I mean, Scotland have actually never lost to Austria. I think they won.
Oh, Graham's just jinxed it there, man.
I think the last game was like 2017, they won 3-1. So we've got a decent record against them.
We're Scotland.
So hopefully we can do it again. But I mean, there is a real feel-good factor about Scotland just now, not just the men's game, but the women's game as well. There is a real feel-good factor in Scotland. And, you know, it's been a long time since we could actually say that. So hopefully they get a good crowd at Hampden, get behind Pedro's girls, and hopefully we can get that game against Ireland, which happens to be on my birthday as well, so that could be a double celebration for me.
What day's your birthday, Graham? So I can send you a card in the post. In the post.
11th of October, mate. Same day as Scotland could play Ireland if they win the playoff.
There you go.
Good saying, my birthday's the 25th of October, but I'm just saying.
Two birthdays in October then, guys.
Yeah, no, exactly. All the best people is born in October as well.
Can I just ask a wee quick question about the women's football as well, by the way?
On you go, Graham. You take the floor, son.
I might be slightly controversial here, right? But is it not slightly worrying that in the SWPL you've got Celtic, Rangers, and Glasgow City absolutely storming ahead after like 6 games?
I agree with you.
I'm just looking at the table. Right, you've got Rangers have scored 39 goals and lost no goals. You've got Celtic have scored 32 goals, conceded none, and you've got Glasgow City have scored 23 goals and conceded 1. They're all on 18 points. After that, you've got Hearts on 9 points. Is that not a slight concern? Because like the 3 teams are just absolutely dominating already.
I think it's the same way. I think it's the same way we're at. I think it's the same way we're at in the women's game, because your Rangers, Glasgow City, and Celtics are all full time. Hearts are slowly evolving into the women's game. You've always done a superb job at Hearts. And Hearts have grown from step to step. It's all been there and thereabouts. Motherwell have started reasonably well. Aberdeen have went off the pedal a little bit, but they've had players away with retirements. But the women's league's always been described as 3 mini leagues as such. You've had Glasgow City, Rangers, and Celtic at the top 3. Your 3 afterwards are usually Aberdeen, Spartans, Hibs, and probably Motherwell, and it's the best of the rest afterwards. So there's 3 mini leagues, unfortunately.
Michael, I know it's half an hour late, but did you mention the big disappointment last night for Scotland for Rangers? They get not to the Champions League group stage.
Yeah,
we didn't.
We forgot to mention that, Reagan. Yeah,
but you just have Nathan. Go for it, Reagan. On you go.
They got beaten extra time by 2 goals to 1. It was 1 each. They got beaten 2-1 in extra time. I was listening to Leanne, and she was Leanne Crichton. She was on a different radio station last night. She was basically saying that Benfica are not as well known, but they've still got a lot of quality players. So
I think Rangers showed a lot of resilience. I was watching bits of the game, Regan, and I thought Rangers showed a lot of resilience on Wednesday. Maybe they lacked that cutting edge when they were in the forward areas, but what a moment for Emma Watson, 16-year-old. Yep. What a moment for the Champions League.
I'm so proud for Scotland that she managed to do well there, because it's so good to see Scottish young talents, and obviously if people can be inspired by her, then brilliant, because like we said, we like to see all the Scottish teams do well, and sadly the fact that Rangers have been out.
I love how Graham has set a state-of-the-art background there.
I know. It's great. I think I mean, who needs Mick Knowles when you've got Graham Duffy or on the programme?
Michael, but it's no better than my piano and my
No, exactly. Yeah, you've on a high note that week. Yeah. So
boom, well done, Michael. You can have that one.
Yeah, I'm here all week apart from Monday to Friday.
That's the only time Michael's played the right tune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll give you that one as well. I just wanted to change tack for a wee minute. I know that me and Dave was talking about this yesterday. The cerebral palsy European Championships are taking place at the moment. So that's with people with cerebral palsy. It's a kind of disability. And when we're talking about the national team, because there's a kind of theme going from women's football to the men's football, if you see what I mean. Still talking about Scotland. Scotland gets top of the Group A with 9 points. Reagan, have you managed to follow the games this week?
No, where can I follow it, Michael? I've just seen a wee clip of it on Sky Sports News, but no, I know Jordan Kerr, who plays for them. But no, fair play to them. They've done well, and if they can keep raising awareness about disability and about cerebral palsy football, then fair play to them. Where can you watch it? Do you know where you can watch it? Or?
Yeah, I will give you the website address after I'll send it to you after the show. But I just wanted to mention that because Scotland won today. Oh no, it was Tuesday in the first game. They beat Italy 6-0. Better than the able-bodied team there. They were actually playing today, and I'm wondering where I can't find the score at the minute. But so I mean, it's just brilliant to see that you know, lesser, not lesser, but kind of like disability sport getting a high profile. But again, Reagan, it's not on TV. It's not even been mentioned.
No, it's good to see that Sky Sports are highlighting it. But yeah, it's a shame that it's not going to be anywhere for us to watch apart from the wee link you're going to send me after the show. That, but yeah, I mean, it's just good to see that people are able to see the scores of the Silver Balls of football, because obviously, it's just good to see that these people are getting the appreciation of playing for Scotland and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think it's on. I'm actually trying to find it when I'm speaking to you, so I can't really do again 2 jobs at the one time. And don't before anybody says it, yeah, it's a man thing. So yeah,
Well, that's Michael, but if I was to call you a woman, then it would be a bad idea. So
yeah, no, exactly. So they were actually playing today, but yeah, it's good to see the Scotland game getting highlighted.
so where's it
Graham,
been?
but
Where's it been played, Michael? Do we know where are they playing?
I think it's been played in Portugal.
Oh, a nice wee holiday for them, and all then.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, I mean, what do you think of that, Graham? It's good how they're doing well, but it's a shame it's not been highlighted.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we should be highlighting these kind of things, and you know, we do this on this show, which is great. But it would be great if it was highlighted more on certainly some of the TV channels, especially. That would be great. But you know, it's great to see Scotland doing well at this. So hopefully that can continue. And what was it, 6-0? You said against Italy. That's a brilliant result.
Now, yeah, they're actually playing this afternoon.
Oh, for Scotland, when will we see?
I think I think Dave. I think Dave makes his bed. But I can't see the game. But they were playing against.
I think
They
Dave
were
should
playing against. They were playing against Chile this afternoon. So, yeah, it's not. It's not Chile in here. It's not. It's nice to see that.
I'm just actually checking. I think I'm looking at the right thing here, but I think Scotland are playing Japan tomorrow. If I'm looking at the right thing here,
Yes.
yeah, it is. Scotland are playing Japan tomorrow at 3:00. Italy play Denmark at 9:00. Egypt play South Korea at 12:00, and Colombia play Chile at 6:00. That's the semi-finals tomorrow.
So how did we get on against Chile?
I think
What?
we were. It's nice to see that me and Graham's the only professional people in this program. Scotland.
How dare you say that? You know.
And I'm not actually sure. I can't find the score at the moment, but against Chile, but but it's just good. It's just good.
7-2.
7-2.
I told you 3 times now.
Yeah. Okay. So, so Grim, a big weekend of football coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. As much as I've loved the international break, it's great to have the Cinch back. And I mean, Hearts have got a lot of games to play in October. So are Celtic and Rangers, but tomorrow's a massive, massive game for Hearts. If they can get 3 points tomorrow against Rangers, go joint second, it'll be a huge, huge bonus. And then we've got that massive doubleheader against Fiorentina to look forward to. So it's just great to have the normal football back. You know, it's been a fantastic week for Scotland, but to have the normal football back, I'm just really, really excited to have it back again.
Yeah, no, exactly. And obviously, we like to keep up with the Glasgow Clan, as I say, the ice hockey. And tomorrow, they are at home to Belfast Giants as well. And Sunday, they're away to. So say that again. They're actually at home tonight to Belfast Giants, and tomorrow they're away to Belfast Giants. I would like to play hockey, Glenn, because it's some weekend you always play hockey back to back, and you must get tired, you know.
I don't think I'd be very good at hockey, to be honest. But I mean, I remember years ago I went to watch Fife Flyers, probably my first ever hockey game. I actually quite enjoyed it, but yeah, it's definitely not for me. It's far too physical that I couldn't handle that.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's just nice to see sport kind of like back up and running, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, sorry, Dave. There you go.
I think we have to ask Dave though about the game tomorrow. Forfar. I mean, Forfar
Yeah.
Dumbarton. Forfar Dumbarton. Are you fancying Forfar at home, or are Dumbarton a decent team?
No, I fancy Dumbarton tomorrow, to be honest with you guys, because I'm reading a lot of Forfar chat and they're not happy with the manager. It seems to be Forfar, not the committee, but the fans seem to be disappointed. And I watched the highlights back from the Stirling game last week because Forfar played Stirling in league duty. Some of the goals that Forfar conceded were soft, to say the least. Dale Carrick had the freedom of Forfar, and some of the he got a hat trick, and it was absolutely brilliant for Stirling Albion. So full credit to him for getting the job done. But I won't say that, guys. We've also got a full card, obviously, Championship League 1 and League 2. So the big game for me tomorrow is Cove against Arbroath. I think it's a big game for both sides because Arbroath have got 2 wins over Morton and East Fife. And they're playing a Cove side are still struggling with their Jim McIntyre. Jim McIntyre's not getting a lot of support from the Cove fans, by all accounts.
Dave, that's what I was going to ask you, right? Obviously, me and Graham and you guys spoke about this on
Oh,
he's froze.
Yeah. Maybe he can't remember the night we spoke about it.
It was his big moment and he's froze.
He froze on the spot.
Reagan, come back. What have you done?
I think he was going to say that's Wednesday night, Dave. Maybe just putting a random day in there, you know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I always like to see. I mean, I suppose it's like going back to the TV deal as well, like, you know. But as Glenn was saying, that it's a wee bit disappointing how you don't see lower league games on the TV.
Yeah, you get to see them in terms of Scottish Cup or Regan's away. Fuck God, I'm joking. Yeah, I think it's good that the BBC are showing 2 Scottish Cup games coming up. Polk against Arran and Cumnock against Dumbarton. Now, Dumbarton and Arran are a bit heavily expected to go win both those games, but Cumnock are a good side, and Polk are a good side. Polk absolutely dismantled Huntley in the last round 6-0, and Polk and Cumnock are at home and will be heavily fancying themselves. So it's going to be an interesting one when they play Dumbarton and Arran respectively. Cumnock, Dumbarton on Friday, and Polk, Arran on the Monday.
Dave, see in terms of Arbroath, did you think it was? I mean, they had a brilliant season last season, and I think we on the show, I wanted them to come up. Do you think it was always going to be difficult for them to replicate that this season?
Yeah, for a range of things, because of how last season evolved, and also secondly, I think it was also because they lost not so many, but they lost a few big players such as Chris Hamilton and Jack Hamilton and a few midfielders as well. And they signed a midfielder from Livingston, and he's highly rated. Don't ask me to pronounce his surname, but I know his first name's Scott, so that's all you get from me.
Sorry, lads, my laptop just cut off me there. I was in full flow and my laptop just died.
You just froze, mate.
Sorry about that. My laptop was in full. My laptop went in full spasm mode there. But no, I was just saying. Do you think that Paul Hartley may want to go back to Cove Rangers after his Hartlepool stint didn't go so well?
I think he will go back because he's married to.
At least the chairman will know him.
That's true. Go ahead.
His father-in-law is the director of football at Cove Rangers.
There you go, aye.
So he must know him then.
Oh, aye. So if you want an abbreviation just for the viewers, his father-in-law is the director of football and he's married to the director of football's daughter. So there you go. There's your family history, family tree.
Oh well, the farmer wants a wife.
See,
So thanks for thanks for joining us on the show tonight. We'll be back on Sunday between 3 and 5, and of course we'll be on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with the European action, and back next Friday as well. So it's been a brilliant show as always. Thanks for your comments. Keep them coming, and we'll see you on Sunday. Have a good game, a good weekend, sorry. And if you're going to a game, enjoy the game and enjoy a big smoky. Dave, and one more word, by the programme tomorrow because Graham's in it. See you soon.